impactful in this digital era?
I think it all goes back to storytelling. That's how brands can communicate to, their people, that their target audience, or even other new audiences that they want to reach out to. So I think storytelling, whereby you're connecting the story of the brand, the story of the community, and trying to blend that into one story, that makes the brand identity or even the creative idea to stand out.
Now, you've worked with both international and digital media, from pen drawings to website graphics. How do you decide which medium fits which message or which client?
For me, I think it depends with the opportunity that has been presented to me. Some people, they come wanting portraits. So yeah, that would be the pen drawings. And some people would just come wanting a certain design or even trophy designs. So it all depends with what the client wants, or even a competition that could be there. I'm someone who tries to, seek for opportunities whenever I can. So depending on the opportunity presented, if I know that I can tackle it, I usually take it on.
Now, when we look at the digital space, there are so many DIY tools like Canva and also AI-generated visual makers that are becoming common. Do you see these as a competition or an opportunity for professional designers like yourself?
Personally, I view them as tools that you can make use of to enhance my work. And for me, I think they also help me to be swift when I'm doing the work, instead of taking a longer process and trying to be creative in storytelling. Some of these AI tools can actually help you to reach where you want to reach. But for me, I think it's also important as an artist to always have your signature. So in as much as I make use of the AI tools, I still have to present the work as if it's coming from me and not really from an AI tool. So I think that's important. But if anything, I view AI as a tool for artists to use.
All right. And your trophy designs for prestigious events like the NAMA Legends and Africa's Greatest Bakers are quite memorable. What goes into creating a design that symbolizes legacy and achievement?
So interestingly enough, for the NAMA Legacy Awards, they had a competition. Like I said, I do take opportunities whenever they're presented to me. So I saw the opportunity. I had never done a trophy design before, but coming from high school, I used to experiment with 3D designs. So when I saw that there was a competition, I thought, instead of just drawing the trophy, let me make use of the 3D software that I've been experimenting with. So in creating that design, like I also said about storytelling, I made a design which connected what NAMA represented and also including their logo, their unique logo, which was speaking about the legends in Zimbabwe and stuff. So I had to incorporate that into the trophy to make it more memorable. So ever since that opportunity, I've been taking on trophy designs, and I should say I'm quite enjoying it.
All right, and you talked about your signature touch in the work that you do. I guess it goes into brand identity, which is critical for startups and businesses. What are some of the common mistakes companies make when it comes to visual branding, and how can you as a designer help to fix that?
I feel as artists, we are able to connect to most of the audience in storytelling as compared to brands. Brands usually, and companies, they usually push for profits and not really, storytelling or proper advertising of the product. So, for example, I was actually thinking of this one where Eversharp, I've always wanted to collaborate with Eversharp, especially with the pen drawings. So if I recall, I know this 3D animation that they did, and even up to now, I think 10 years later, I still recall that animation. But it's not really about the animation itself. Eversharp is not an animating company, but the way they made use of the animation to advertise their products was actually excellent. So I think it will be the same even for me as a pen drawing artist. if I can do a drawing that can actually represent Eversharp in that way, I feel like it will be good advertising. Not that I'm advertising drawing, but it's a unique approach to advertising, which is rare to see. And yeah, Eversharp, if you're out there, I can't wait.
So you have designed for an international audience, including a football kit for Bridgend schools in Wales. How do you handle cross-cultural design projects while at the same time trying to keep your authenticity, the signature that you talked about?
So for the signature, I usually apply it when it comes to the pen drawings, which is my style. But when it comes to design, sometimes there's a balance whereby you have to see what the company or brand wants and what you are able to produce for them. So for this one, when I saw that it was for Wales, I had to research about the culture in Wales. And for that kit, I had to take elements from the actual national team in Wales and try to incorporate for that school. So it was a combination of, Wales itself, the country, and the schools to try and come up with a unique football kit. And that's what I did.
If somebody was to see that kit, is there anything maybe particular or peculiar that they can actually identify with that it was you who was behind the design?
When it comes to design, I'm not so sure. I think the audience will have to say it out for me. But for me, I just design as I want. But I think lately I've tried to, whenever I present my designs on social media, I try to label the storytelling or the elements behind those designs. So I think that's my signature, according to me. I'm not so sure about the audience. But as compared to other designers, they just place something and you'll be wondering, what is that pattern? What is that color supposed to mean? But for me, I try to present in a way whereby I'm actually labeling that this means this means that, and this is this design, I took it from this inspiration. So that's how I approach design. So I'm not so sure if that will be under my signature.
All right. And we look at web design, which is more than aesthetics. It's about user experience as well. What do you think makes a website effective in terms of both aesthetics and also functionability?
I'll have to apologize when it comes to that. I haven't done web designing for a while.
Okay.
So I'm not too familiar with the trends that are happening lately.
All right.
But I think it also goes back to the AI tools that we were talking about. Sometimes you might have a visual concept, but it might be difficult to either to code or to design. But if you make use of these AI tools, I'm sure they'll be able to give you solutions or answers on how to, bring your idea to life.
All right, but maybe speaking as somebody who will be using the front end of the site, what do you think makes the website good in terms of how it looks and how it functions?
It has to present or reflect the company or the brand properly. You might go to websites whereby it's just plain, it has pictures, as if they're just trying to sell something to you. But I think it's important as a brand or a company to first showcase what you represent, or what you have to showcase besides just showing the numbers whereby this is going for this much. I think it's important to just show your products and how effective they are to the community. So if you go even to the website, I think the Apple website, it's actually good. They show you the products. The visuals are actually unique in themselves before they sell the items to you.
All right, so Africa has a growing creative economy, economy, I beg your pardon. From your experience, what makes African design stand out? And when we look at global trends, where is it heading?
I won't be sure about that, but according to me personally, I feel like Africa has a lot of history. So it goes back to colors, to patterns, to cave drawings that we have. So I think taking those elements and then trying to apply them whenever you're trying to present something which is African, I think it's important. For example, there's this clothing brand called Xhosa, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Xhosa, something like that. The way that they put patterns, African patterns in African colors into their clothing, it's actually unique, and you can actually see that this is African. And I think most brands which are trying to, represent Africa should actually tap into that approach.
All right, now time for us to take a break. After the breather, we continue with our conversation, delving into all things web designing and designing as a standalone. Don't go anywhere at the Mint. We'll be right back.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
Karowa mwana mnimambama mu studio wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu
wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje no yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutauri muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe ndiwo rupawo rwako ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Welcome back to The Mint. I'm Cecilia Kamputa and we're joining you live from Mars 10 Studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. Now I'm still joined in the studio by Darren G to talk about designing. So Darren, your career started with ballpoint pen sketches in primary school. How has that foundation in traditional art shaped your approach to digital and commercial design work today?
I'm not so sure if it really contributed to the visual aspects that I'm using today. If anything, I grew up as someone who loved to draw. So coming out of high school, I thought, let me venture into something which is more digital. So I went to Chino University to do visual communication and multimedia design. So that's where I was now able to dive into the visual side of things. So depending on the opportunity presented, I know whether to use pen or to use the digital side of things. But I haven't encountered a situation whereby I had to use both, except when I'm just presenting a ballpoint pen drawing already.
All right. And we talked about company branding. Now we want to talk about personal branding. For designers, it is more important now than ever. You have built your name across platforms like Instagram and X. How has that helped you, the following that you have on the social media platforms, how has that helped you in your work?
I'm noticing that the more you post your works, you might think that people might not like it. Sometimes I do my own personal projects whereby it's not really for a corporate. But I'm finding out that the more you post, people are able to see the works that you're able to do and what you're capable capable of doing. So from that, you can see that more opportunities will come to you based on you just posting your works. So this is usually on Instagram and Facebook. On X, I'm still trying to get there, but I'm enjoying the response that I'm getting on the social media platforms.
Have you had the responses that you're getting, you said on Facebook and Instagram is more than on X now. Has it translated to dollars and cents for you, the interactions and the reach outs that you get from the people or corporates that you hear from?
Well, in my early years, I would say no, because usually as an artist or designer, you want your name to be out there. So sometimes you just take a job and then you say, oh, no, you can pay me when I'm done, or if you want the drawing, something like that. So yeah, it did not translate to dollars. But now as I grow older, yeah, I have built a name somewhat, so I feel like it's important for me to be business-minded in trying to translate those creative ideas that I have into dollars, as you're saying.
All right, and when we talk about dollars and cents again, we're talking about pricing your art pieces. Many creatives struggle with pricing their work. Some who undervalue their work, some who overvalue their work. What's your approach when it comes to valuing your art pieces and also negotiating with different clients?
To be honest, I'm still struggling with that as well. Sometimes I'm not so sure if my prices are okay or maybe they are too low as compared to other creatives. But I used to struggle in my early days, like I mentioned about pricing. But I think for creatives, it's important to see what others are doing and then try to match your price with that. So it could be a little bit lower, or it could be a bit higher, but you know, a bit of a balance, it's good. And this will just help you to get the right clients that you want until you have created your name for yourself. And then I think once you have a name, you can just price however you want, depending on your availability.
So do you get a situation where if a client says your art piece the price is too steep, you can let them walk away, or you can get to a point where you negotiate to get a price that is in the middle?
These days, I only negotiate if I don't have any other pending project. So if I'm not too busy and I don't have other projects that I'm working on, then yeah, I usually take the opportunity. Not because I do want the dollars, of course I do want the dollars, but sometimes, like I said, when it comes to social media, if I do this work properly, I'm still able to present it and post it somewhere and also attract new clients. So I make sure that each and every project that I get, I do it to my best abilities.
All right. And you've collaborated with the Embassy of Switzerland in Zimbabwe for a vehicle branding project. How do you manage the expectations of such high-profile clients while staying true to your own creative identity?
With that one, the fortunate thing is there was no risk to it. I had nothing to lose because it was a competition, I believe. Yes, it was a competition that they held. So I had nothing to lose. It's different from when an organization comes to you with an idea and then, yeah, there's a lot of expectation there. So for this one, I did a design whereby I had to put Zimbabwean elements on one side of the car and the Switzerland elements or buildings on one side of the car. So from there, when I presented the design, I think they picked, if not 4 or 5 of the designers in Zim, which had done the work that they wanted. And then they now presented a theme whereby, no, we want a theme which goes hand in hand with, is it the green environment, things like that. So from there, that's when I was able to now translate those elements into the green environment. So I had, there were just a few minor changes, but I'm glad it ended up coming as perfect as it could be. So yeah, that was a great opportunity and I'm still proud of it.
All right. And we look at art and commerce as the line between the two continues to play. What advice do you have for young creatives who are trying to turn their art into a profit?
I'm not so sure if I have the right advice, but sometimes you just have to take the risk. There are situations whereby the dollars won't come as you want them, and you want to also grow your business or your creative brand. So it's tough. Sometimes you just have to take the risk whereby you're no longer working somewhere just to focus on your work, on your art or design. But sometimes you also have to find a balance whereby you're also going to work so that you can eat at the end of the day, but also, maybe during the late nights, you're also able to do your creative works until you create a name for yourself. So it's tough, but I won't have a solid advice on that. It depends with the situation that the creative is in.
I think that's solid enough. And finally, what's next from Daring Graphics? Are you exploring new frontiers like augmented reality, NFTs, or something that is different? Are there any collaborations that are in the wing somewhere there?
If there are any collaborations, if anything, I'll just say you see them when I post them.
Okay.
And I'm glad you mentioned NFT. I did an NFT project with someone who was based outside. Okay. But we noticed that when it comes to NFT, the important thing was to attach your designs to something which is tangible. So most people would want, in as much as, yes, you have created this digital illustration or artwork, but if I'm to purchase that digital item, what else am I going to have physically? So some people would then attach maybe their clothing brands into the NFT, or maybe access to certain functions or events. But for us, we couldn't really find something that we could attach to that NFT. So until that trend, I think it died. If anything, I think the NFT trend has died. Most of the people who have bought these NFTs, they are no longer as worth as they thought it would be. So I'm trying to think of the other question that you mentioned.
Maybe, yeah, also a follow-up. Was there a real understanding or a proper buy-in into NFTs? Since you're saying the trend died, was there a real understanding when it comes to artists to what it was and what it meant for artists?
I think there are two responses to that. There are some people, I think, who took advantage of NFT just for the money. So because of the hype, people will just buy into the NFT, but there won't be any worth. And then there are some people who actually had something to actually provide to the community through their NFTs. So I think there were two creatives who approached NFT in those aspects. But for me, the person that I was working with, who was based outside, he had a better understanding of NFT since he was located outside. He was in Australia. But for me, I was just approaching, or I was just coming in as the brains creatively behind it, when it comes to the illustrations and the drawings. But like I said, because we are two people in different countries, it's usually tough, to come up with something that we can say, no, our NFT is attached to this physical item. So yeah, when we were trying to, bring the hype back, I think, yeah, the NFT trend had already died. So it's unfortunate. But when it comes to other projects, I think it will be a surprise to most people. But lately, I would say I'm enjoying trophy designing more than pen drawings. Pen drawings, I usually take them when there's an exhibition to be part of, and not really for commissions like portraits and stuff. But trophy designing, yes. So I hope companies, organizations would approach me for trophy designing. I'll be able to assist. I'm tired of these trophies whereby they're too plain, too basic, the basic shapes and with simple text. So I'm trying to create a name for myself whereby I'm creating trophies which actually connect creativity and the brand or organization together and have something unique out of it.
You haven't been commissioned for any trophy making now?
No, I do have commissions, but like I said, most of the I can't announce, but you see them when I post them. But hopefully, who knows, maybe I can also work with the Castle Lager, the league trophies for the Football Association in Zimbabwe. Who knows? I'll be glad to be part of that when it comes to trophy designing.
All right, Darren, thank you very much for joining us today on The Mint.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Now, that is all we had in today's episode of The Mint. Good afternoon and pleasant viewing.
The Chew On Kitchen is the